Welcome to Lazy Reviews. I watched a bunch more Michael J. White movies, so that's what I'll be talking about today. I already made one video where I covered a lot of his films, so if you want to see me talking about these movies, you can check out that video if you haven't already. If not, just stay tuned and enjoy what I have to show you in this video. I might have to cut this into two parts just because I watched so many movies that there's so much to talk about that I'm not sure I have the time to do it all in one sitting. If I do, then enjoy. Enjoy the video, enjoy the videos. I just hope that this will be entertaining and insightful for you. Maybe not too insightful. I just hope that this will be entertaining. And I should probably just get started. I think it's very important for me to just let you know that these are not serious, in-depth reviews of every single film I'm talking about. This is just me watching a bunch of Michael J. White movies because I wanted to watch his movies. I wanted to go through his filmography, and not his entire filmography, but much of it. Probably the majority of it at this point. And just see which movies are actually worth watching. Why should you watch them? Why shouldn't you watch them? Why might these movies be something for you? May these just be a waste of your time? That's basically it. Not me going through deep plot analysis, character studies, whatever. Just, is this a good or a bad movie? And why is this a good or bad movie? And that's it. And without further ado, let's get started. And the first movie I'll be talking about is one of the more recent ones. It's Take Back from 2021. And this movie actually not only stars Michael J. White, but also Gillian White, his wife. She's the main lead in this movie. Michael J. White is really taking a backseat. I'm not even sure if that's a good or a bad thing. I do like his character in this movie. Gillian White is also doing quite well in it.
I had just graduated high school. I met this college guy and we ended up talking for hours. He was different than anybody I'd ever met.
So a very quick plot summary. The movie stars Gillian White being this martial artist who has married Michael J. White after Michael J. White's wife passed away from cancer, I think. So they've been together for a few years, 4, I think. Michael J. White has a daughter, and they have a good family dynamic. What I will say is actually the movie is really not good at establishing this. A lot of this story is told in exposition dialogue half an hour or an hour into the movie. So I was really thrown off. I had no idea that she wasn't the mother for the child. A lot of this is not really explained well in the movie, so it's really odd that it's a throwaway line in the middle of the movie. This is something you probably should know at the beginning of the movie to understand this dynamic, this relationship. But no, this is fairly incompetent. So she's a lawyer, she has this company, they're doing quite well. Michael J. White is a stay-at-home dad, or I'm not really sure what he's doing, but he's also a martial artist, just not as good as his wife. One day, while buying a coffee, the coffee owner is harassed by her ex-boyfriend. So Gillian White steps in and beats him up. And this is caught on camera. And she becomes an internet celebrity overnight. She really doesn't like having all this attention on her. She tries to escape the press. People start approaching her. You realize there's something about her past that she's hiding. And then the daughter of Michael J. White is kidnapped. And I don't want to dive too much deeper into the plot. Not exactly because I think this is a movie you should watch, so I don't want to spoil it. I just don't think I really need to. It's about human trafficking, I can say that much. And I can say that the villain is played by Mickey Rourke. Definitely not Mickey Rourke's best performance.
Come see Daddy. Come see Daddy. Come up see Daddy. That's my baby, huh? That's my baby gorilla.
Let me tell you something. This broad, she can suck the chrome off a bumper hitch. You never know, eh?
A lot of the issues with this movie, a lot of it makes no sense. Mickey Rourke really likes small dogs. So he's constantly seen sitting in bed, lying in bed, playing with the dogs, petting them, talking about how the dogs get him laid. And there's this, I think it might be his son, this buff dude who's working for Mickey Rourke, and they have the acting is bad, so there's the relationship with them is not really well established. Mickey Rourke as a character is not very well established. Of course, you understand more of his backstory later on, but he just has these dogs he loves petting. You have scenes of Mickey Rourke lying in bed, keeps watching this news report on repeat while lying in bed and just petting the dogs. And the way he's petting the dogs also looks weird. It's a movie with so many weird decisions. It just feels incompetent in a way. There are some action scenes in it, and Michael J. White does participate in them. Not a lot. He's really not doing a lot in this movie. And I would say if you want to watch another Michael J. White movie, this is not it for you, because this is not really a Michael J. White movie. He's almost not in it. He's playing the role of a nice, supportive, naive dad. It's interesting to see him not be a villain and not be an action hero, just be a concerned dad trying to live his life, dealing with a lot of... Of course, you don't get that from the performance because the movie doesn't really tell you that. but he's dealing with grief of losing his wife, of course, and then raising this child. They could have done so much more with this plot than what they do, because they really don't do anything with it. It's really just not competent.
Just take me home.
There are some other things I want to get into. A lot of the acting is bad. As I said, it's also just really poorly written. I can't really say this without getting into spoiler territory, but there is something with the timeline that really doesn't work. Gillian White, when she's playing this role, is in her 40s. I'm not sure how old she's supposed to be in the movie, but something in the movie takes place 13, 14 years prior to when the movie is set.
14 years ago. Rape victim. Kimberly Johnson.
She supposedly just finished high school.
I had just graduated high school.
There's really something wrong with her age, with the timeline. It's just really incompetently written. So much of it doesn't really make sense. A lot of the motivation, the character choices. She's accusing Michael J. White of something, or speculating that he would have acted in a certain way, which really doesn't make any sense. She's saying that, oh, if you had known this, you would have left me, which just the short time you get with Michael J. White's character in this movie, you don't get the idea that he would have left her, so it's just all in her head. Honestly, there's just so much bad to say about this movie, and I just want to end it here. Take back, don't watch it. It's not a good movie. So the next movie I'll be talking about is a movie I actually had fairly high expectations for, because it does have quite high ratings on Rotten Tomatoes on IMDb. It has 7 out of 10 on IMDb and also quite decent score on Rotten Tomatoes. And I therefore thought, well, this is probably one of his better movies. And this movie, of course, is Undisputed II from 2006. This is a movie where Michael J. White does play the lead. So a very quick plot summary. Michael J. White is playing a boxer who is no longer at the top of his game, but he's still active. He is in Russia, in Moscow, to do some commercials and to be in a boxing tournament. On the way to the tournament, he is knocked out. The police discover a lot of drugs on him, and he's arrested. Of course, this is a setup. I'm not spoiling much by saying this, but this is a setup by the Russian mob, the people promoting his participation in this tournament, because he's a very good boxer. So there's a lot of money riding on this. So of course they want to earn money investing in this guy, and the best way to do it is by setting up illegal fights in Russian prisons. That apparently makes more sense than making fixed boxing tournaments outside of prison, or I actually don't really understand why this whole plot exists. It's a stupid plot, to be honest. So yes, the plot might be a bit stupid, but he's sent to this prison camp where they tend to incarcerate a lot of foreigners for some reason. And it's also a prison specializing in martial arts and having all these underground fighting tournaments. And these fights, these tournaments, are then broadcast on local TV? I don't know, special access TV, because they're watching it live, but they're watching it live from bars. But it's illegal fights, and it's only for the mob. I'm asking too many questions about this. So yes, the mob is investing in these illegal fights, and they're betting on them. And Michael J. White is not the only foreigner who's been arrested here. There are some other ones who are taking him in. He also gets into trouble with the big guy in the prison, the most prolific boxer or the prolific martial artist in the prison, who's played by Scott Adkins. And he honestly looks quite intimidating. And well, this is a prison movie, and this is a martial arts movie. So lo and behold, the rest of the movie is just fights and things leading up to fights, and things escalating. Michael J. White, of course, doesn't want to fight. He just wants to get out of prison, but he comes to realize that everything is rigged against him, and the only way he can hope to escape prison is through fighting. And he does have a small character arc. He does have to go from being completely self-centered to slowly accept that he's not the only one in the universe, that he can't be a diva, that he actually needs the help of others to get through life, that he needs the help of others to get through prison, and that people can teach him valuable lessons. He goes from being a bit of a self-important narcissist to being more outgoing and a better person all around. So yes, it actually has a character arc. A lot of these Michael J. White movies don't, but this movie has a character arc. This is a low-budget boxing movie, a low-budget martial arts movie. It's not just boxing, they are kicking sometimes. Not always. Again, I don't really understand the rules of the movie. Sometimes they're kicking, sometimes they're not. It's mostly boxing. And wrestling at times as well. What are they fighting? I don't know. Different styles, probably. Is this blood sports in a prison? Actually, it might be. It actually does remind me a bit of blood sports in a prison. Blood sport, not blood sports. One issue is, yes, it's a low-budget movie made in the mid-2000s, meaning it looks awful. It's this very dark gray, sometimes saturated movie, so nothing looks nice. Of course, it is a prison. It is supposed to look gritty, and it does look a bit gritty, Aside from that, it's just not really interesting to look at. Most scenes are just somewhat ugly and uninteresting, unappealing. Of course, this unappealingness does have symbolic effects, symbolic value, thematic value to some of the scenes, especially the fights. And what I will give the movie is, it has some good fights. It's not the best fights, but it has good fights. Not many, actually way too few, but it has at least 2 good fights. And I can give it that. So if you want to watch Michael J. White kick ass, this might be the movie for you. But that's also pretty much the only thing it has going for it. Everything else mostly suck about it. I honestly don't have much more to say about it. I think it's a very mediocre boxing movie, a very mediocre martial arts movie that has the saving grace of having both Scott Adkins and Michael J. White in it. So that's cool. Some pet peeves. So this is supposed to be Russia. It's filmed in Bulgaria. And it's very obvious that it's filmed in Bulgaria because the vast majority of the prison inmates are obviously Bulgarian and not Russian. They look distinctly Bulgarian, and not only that, the writing is in Bulgarian. So when you see writing on the prison, it's Bulgarian, it's not Russian. Something that's supposed to take place in Russia, but very obviously isn't taking place in Russia. It does feel off, and of course, because it's Bulgaria, it's not as cold as maybe the Siberian place they would have wanted to film it in. So they just used filters to make everything look more cold and desolate. Again, another pet peeve of mine, I don't like when movies do that. It's a bit like the meme of, oh, this is the filter we use in Mexico, this is the filter we use in Eastern Europe. And they did this with this movie, that they took a place that is not as desolate as it's supposed to be, and then they use a filter to get out of it. So yes, not the worst movie, but it is a bit ugly. It has a few good fights, but it's not that interesting. You could watch it for if you really like martial arts movies and prison movies. It's not the worst, but it probably will only entertain you mildly. Again, I'm in the minority. I don't think it's worth 7 out of 10, but it is not the worst. You can watch it. I wouldn't really... It's not like Take Back, where I would never recommend you to watch it. This is maybe it will be entertaining. But let's move on. And the next movie is Undercover Brother 2 from 2019. On paper, it looks like this movie is starring Michael J. White. The first 5 minutes or 3 minutes of this movie are amazing. Michael J. White, he's walking around in the best 70s outfit. He's cracking jokes, he is being hilarious, he's having all these hilariously prolonged hand gestures, cracking jokes everywhere, just being overall really cool. Michael J. White has amazing comedic timing and talent, at least with the right script. And the first few minutes of this movie really demonstrate that.
You see my brother? I'm cutting bitches down 116.
They really got my expectations up. I thought I was in for maybe a small comedic masterpiece. And then comes his younger brother, who is played by a man I should not name because what I will be saying might be close to libel. His younger brother in this movie is god awful. He is terrible, and 10 minutes into the movie, his younger brother becomes the lead, and Michael J. White is out of the movie for the next hour. Except for a few scenes where he kind of pops up. Meaning, I was fooled to believing I got a Michael J. White movie, when in fact I got this terrible guy instead. He is not funny.
Hot chocolate I smell, man.
He's over the top all the time. He's playing this clumsy, semi-cool, idiotic side character who suddenly becomes the main character. All his jokes are pun-related or are, is this woke related?
I'm gonna need a moment, okay? I'm gonna need a moment. No, I'm gonna still need more time.
And none of it landed. All of the jokes are awful. Of course, he's not the only one. Every single joke in this movie, after Michael J. White is out of it, is not funny.
Did you know America twice elected a black man?
Next thing you're gonna tell me Michael Jackson's the vice president, Prince is secretary of state, and Whitney Houston is first lady, right?
No. Actually, Michael, Whitney, and Prince. Dead.
What?
The main humor in this movie, and it could have worked because I've seen it work in other movies, are basically racism taken to an extreme mixed with woke tendencies. In a way that's supposed to parody and comment and satirize everything. It has been done before, it can work really well.
And after dinner, a classic black and white movie. With the black turned off, of course.
Don't mansplain to us. Look at him. Slack-jawed as if we were nothing more than incredibly hot sex objects here for his mind. Low in pleasure.
Can't seem to move my head. Make him stop. Make him stop.
I guess I should just give you a very quick plot summary, but this movie is all over the place, so even then it's difficult. It starts in 2006, with Michael J. White being a very 70s guy, and his younger brother being a very 90s guy. and they are out to catch the man who's leading this white racist organization trying to take over the world. They're about to catch him, and then they're caught in an avalanche. The movie fast forwards 13 years where they are discovered due to global warming, so the avalanche melted.
Right on global warming.
And Michael J. White is in a coma, whereas his younger brother is revitalized. Immediately put on the case to work for this Undercover Brother agency, which is an African-American network operating to fight racism, to fight the crime of white America, or of the wide world committing against minorities, but especially African Americans. And it has a lot of stereotypes, a lot of cliches. Actually, every single person in the movie is a stereotype or cliche, and they're often named after whatever stereotype or cliche they are. We have the satirical guy. Who's that? It's a guy who's just satirical. Nothing he says should be taken seriously.
Sarcastic, brother. It's an honor to meet you. And I'm being totally sincere, even though my voice sounds like I'm not.
Although my face might look like I might punch you in your face.
Not today.
He's awful. He's really awful in this movie. His performance is bad and his jokes are bad. Nothing is good about that guy. You can't get this woman. I think that's something along those lines.
Unattainable sister.
Not unattainable for you.
Because she's a woman who's just too hot to handle. No man can have her. Like, she's too good for everyone. So that's her persona in the movie. That's her entire character. It's just this one-dimensional thing. It has one thing that I do like. That is, the militant brother is a white guy who identifies as African American. I like that as a joke. And I think also his performance in the movie is the best we get aside from Michael J. White.
My brother in the revolution.
I think his performance is actually quite okay in the movie. But honestly, it has so many cliches, and the movie knows it's a cliche. Everything about the movie is a cliche. And as such, it's just not really funny because it's not really playing with cliches. This is a movie that thinks having cliches and pointing out cliches is funny. Or pointing out things in society is funny without joking about it. Oh, this coffee is expensive. Isn't that funny?
I'll have a latte.
Okay.
That'll be $28.
Hey man, $28 for some damn coffee?
Oh, hipsters exist. Isn't that weird? Oh, white people have a savior complex. Isn't that something? The movie doesn't joke about it. It shows you these things, and then that's supposed to be funny on their own. I'm really getting lost in this movie because it's just not good. And I want to move on, but there's still things worth mentioning. I think one of the ideas I liked about the movie, which could have been done much better, it turns out that the criminal organization, the racist organization in the movie, has invented a drug called woke. And when you take woke, you start embracing gender and ethnic equality, animal welfare, all these things. But then the hangover, the after effects of taking the drug is that you start quarreling over minor issues. That all the unity the drug gives you is torn away by intersectional, minor, ridiculous discussions and debates. Again, a joke that could work on paper, but doesn't work in the movie. But what, again, is another joke that works on paper and doesn't work in the movie is that this drug comes to represent how young, white, woke, privileged people want to tell the world how to be woke. It's not subtle. Like, this could have been very well executed in a subtle way, but this movie just has the line, hey, I want to tell African Americans what their problems are. They shouldn't tell me what their problems are. And the problem is when the satire is so in your face, when the political social commentary is so in your face that it has to be delivered in lines of dialogue, it shows you how bad it is or how little it respects its audience intelligence.
What is wrong with those people? I don't know. Why can't they just trust me to know what's best for them?
When you can't make a joke without fleshing it out, without writing it for you, carving it into rock, into your face again and again.
I feel your heteronormative tone.
They soon turn petty, hypersensitive, and ultra-judgmental.
Something is bad about the writing, and that's the problem with the movie. It's just not fun. It's really, really, really not fun. It's really, really, really poorly written. Except, again, for Michael J. White. And he does show up periodically in the movie. And when he does show up, he makes insanely funny jokes. He makes jokes about follow the money and thinking he got that line from the movie Deep Throat. He has a lot of good lines of dialogue. Sadly, when he actually does return at the end of the movie in full force, it still kind of sucks. We get some action scenes that are bad. We don't get Michael J. White magic, especially not the magic the movie gave us to begin with. Just more meta commentary of how different things are or were in 2006 compared to now. A lot of more oh, can white people now identify as black people? Like, how is this not weird? Is this not quirky? All this being said, I understand I may not be the target audience for this movie, but I just feel like it's very dumb, and it's not dumb in a fun way. And I already wasted way too much of my breath on this movie, so I should just move on. Okay, I think this is a good time to finish it today. I will, of course, be uploading more videos where I talk about Michael J. White movies, because there's so many more I want to talk about. So if you would like to see my take on these videos, you can subscribe or stay tuned to see when I upload my next video. And that's it for today, so take care, bye, have a nice day, ciao.
Let me tell you something, this broad, she can suck the chrome off a bumper hitch.